दोस्तों, मैं हूं मदन सिंह and let's talk today about something which is very special. I'm going to talk to you about the military power of India. Now, this is a subject for which I have done my post-graduation from the Madras University when I was undergoing the Defence Services Staff College course. And I have written a number of books on military history. So I think you may like to hear what I have to say about the Indian Army, the Air Force and the Navy. Now, if there was a conventional war fought in the old ways which they were fighting, the Indian Army would win hands down. And that's a fact. The Indian Army is a formidable force, 1.2 million. The Air Force is good enough, there are about 29 squadrons. And then we have a Navy with 2 aircraft carriers. So, strength-wise, I think India is pretty good as far as Southeast Asia is concerned. Where we lose out is against China and America, because the Americans got a tremendous fleet here in the Indian Ocean, and they have a big base at Dejo Garcia, and they can go and activate it anytime, and it'll be hell all around. So, gentlemen, where does the Indian Army lose? It loses because of its strategy. इनकी जो strategy है, that is negative in the sense it's based on defense, is not on offense. I have undergone the staff college course, and I can tell you that most of the exercises taught there, at least when I was undergoing that staff course, are defensive in nature. How is India going to defend itself against China? How India is going to defend against Pakistan? And I think there is very little knowledge about the latest trends in warfare, that is the drone warfare, the missile warfare. The Indians don't know much about it. I'll give you an example. In the last war which we had with Pakistan, on day one the Indians launched airstrikes. We lost about 6 planes. That has been confirmed now. And how do I say it is confirmed? Because the CDS, who was attending a conference, military conference in Singapore, mentioned that India lost a few planes in the initial stages of the combat. Now, it is the Chief of Defence Staff who mentioned it, so you can't just disregard it and say, oh, Baba, it's all bull. It's not all bull. And he also made a very interesting and potent comment that after that we reorganized ourselves and then we won the battle. In the sense that the Indians then started using the missiles. Now, this is a very interesting observation. That means, had the Indians used the missile from the day one, the Pakistanis would have been devastated. So it's a thinking, the military thinking, which is wrong. Again, throughout, after 1947, the Indian Army has only been reacting. There is no offensive action taken. Look at 47-48, the battle which we fought. It was a reaction to the Pakistani invasion. And as you all know, the Maharaja of Kashmir had signed and pact with both India and Pakistan, in which he had said that there will be a standstill. So that is why it's called a standstill agreement. That is till Kashmir makes a decision whether to join Pakistan or India. That also is a fact. So, but Pakistan disregarded this treaty which they had with the Maharaja, and they invaded straight away. And India kept waiting till the Maharaja signed the order of accession, and then only intervened when the raiders, aided by the Pakistani officers, were just close to Srinagar, and it was not clear whether the Srinagar airfield had been captured or not. So again, it was a reaction. And then India had no stomach for fighting further, because after about 10 months of fighting, India decided to have a ceasefire on its own and went to the United Nations. Now, Pakistan didn't go to the United Nations. India went to the United Nations. And then a ceasefire was declared by the Security Council. And what was the result? We lost 40% of Kashmir to Pakistan. Now let's come up further. The defensive tactics continued. I mean, it's very easy to keep blaming Nehru for all this. Yes, Nehru ne kiya, Nehru is responsible. But then the Indian General Staff at that time, General Karyappa, General Thamaiya, didn't make any cessation of patrolling or keeping the northern border. Now that's the point which I'm coming to. India lost the entire Aksai Chin area to China because we had a negative mindset. A negative mindset means there were no forward troops in Aksai Chin, there were no posts, there's nothing set up there, and it was like a no man's land, shown only on paper by the Indian political maps being made, and the Indian Geographical Society. They were only making those maps, while on the ground there was no control. And the Chinese took the territory. It was like a cake, lying just in the open, and somebody goes and takes it and eats it. So that is a negative concept. Again, in the 65 war, India was sitting and waiting for the Pakistanis to attack. There was no plan to enter Pakistan and capture Lahore. So when the Pakistanis attacked in the Cham-Jauria sector, and they were going to cut off the neck, which joins India to Kashmir, that is the time the Indian General Staff woke up and suggested to Lal Bahadur Shastri that we had to open another front in Lahore. And Shastri said, go ahead. So again, we had a negative concept. We were waiting for Pakistan to come in, and then we reacted. And then also there was no plan whatsoever to capture Lahore. And again, there was the whole of East Pakistan was lying defenseless. And India could have easily moved in there, taken vast amount of territory, maybe even occupied Sylhet, the Chittagong districts, and that would have been a tremendous bargaining point with Pakistan on Kashmir. Did nothing. Again, the 71 war, the same thing. Now, let's accept the fact that it was a good victory, I say, in Bangladesh. But let us not lose sight of reality. Reality क्या थी? पाकिस्तान के पास एक डिवीजन थी ईस्ट पाकिस्तान में, and 70,000 were the irregular soldiers, the Razakars. And India had planned, I think, to keep more than 100,000 troops against them. So it was an unequal battle. But India's strategy on the Western Front was just not there. This, of course, the plan was there made by Jagjit Singh Arora and General Jacob to capture East Pakistan. But there was no plan to go and capture Lahore or Sialkot. And General Candace, who was the GOCC Western Commander at that time, I think didn't have any brief at all. And he was just keeping a holding action, against the Pakistani attacks. But definitely the war was won by India because it was a conventional war, and just मैंने आपको पहले बताया, the Indian army in a conventional war is very formidable. अभी 98 की war भी देख लीजिए. This was an absolute blunder as far as India is concerned. First of all, the army chief needs to answer that when winter came, he decided to withdraw all the posts from the Kargil hills. अरे भाई, what does it matter? Winter or no winter, the posts have to remain, the bunkers have to remain. But the army chief said, no, call them back, we'll go back in summer. Now that is the negative concept. And when the Indian army went back in November, in summer, they found the Pakistani light infantry already occupying them, the posts and the bunkers. And India had a great problem to get them evicted. And then again, the political leadership was so scared, they didn't want to cross the LOC. I remember I was there, therefore, at that time we had instructions, whatever it may be, do not cross the LOC. Now, what sort of battle is this? The Pakistanis already crossed the LOC into India, and here the Indian Prime Minister is talking I would say, absolute nonsense. So there were restrictions in the Indian army because there's no clear-cut offensive sign. And then, of course, that ceasefire, it was engineered by Bill Clinton, and the Indians accepted it, and so the Pakistanis accepted it. And at that time, still certain amount of area of the Kargil hills are still with Pakistan, but the Pakis vacated under pressure from America. तो gentlemen, ये बात सोचने वाली बात है कि ये जो मैं वॉर्स के एग्जांपल दिए आपको कि ये शोज की नेगेटिव कंसेप्ट ऑफ वॉरफेयर ऑफ द इंडियन आर्मी एंड पॉलिटिकल लीडरशिप तो ब्लेम करते हो, पर देयर इज पॉलिटिकल लीडरशिप को कई बार ओवर रूल कर सकते हैं जो आर्मी जनरल्स होते हैं. दे आर सपोज टू ओवर रूल and give good military sense. What would have Shastri done if the Indians had at that time occupied Sylhet? The army had given Eastern Command the order to occupy Sylhet. क्या कर लेता Shastri? Finally, it would have been a fait accompli, and he would have been thankful to the Indian army. अरे भी आपने तो बहुत अच्छा किया है, एक बार्गेनिंग चिप हमें दे दिया गया for Kashmir. And in 71 war, just to keep blowing your trumpet, we must give the actual battle the way it took place. I was going through the conduct of one of the books by the Pakistani generals, and he has clearly brought out what the strength of the Pakistan army, the strength of the Indian army, and the faulty strategy of Pakistan. That is the crux of the issue. And Pakistan were relying that America will come and help them, and I have told you a number of times in my video that the alliances are just paper pacts. Nobody is going to come. Even China, if there's a fight with Pakistan, not going to come with the help of Pakistan and start fighting on the northern border. They will never come. Even Bangladesh dare not join the war if Pakistan attacks India and they attack from the eastern region. So ये जो psychosis of fear है, that has to be taken away. I remember, when I was reading a statement by the defense minister, I think it was Anthony, when the Sadaji, Manmohan Singh was the prime minister, and he made a statement that China is a very strong country और हम उनको antagonize नहीं कर सकते. I mean, we are not going to antagonize China. I mean, if a defense minister talks like this, you can what the effect of the Indian army. So the army also has got generals, I'm afraid to say, who don't have the concept of modern warfare and the elements of offense. Now, one of the principles of war, there are 10 principles of war which were enunciated by Field Marshal Clausewitz, और उन principles में लिखा है कि one of the principles is offense, offensive action. And offensive action will only bring victory. You cannot have victory with a defensive action कि मैं दुर्ग में बैठा हूँ, मैं किले के अंदर बैठा रहूँगा and keep waiting for the enemy to come. This has been the historical concept of India for 2000 years. That you keep waiting for the enemy to come. That's why the battle in Panipat took place just 100 kilometers from Delhi. Because the rulers in Delhi, whether they were Muslim or Hindu, they were sitting and waiting in Panipat to come. The enemy would come and fight there. And the enemy came from 2000 kilometers. The Indian forces here could just go 100 kilometers or 100 miles. I mean, so absolutely ludicrous, that I'll say, that the Indian military theory, what it is. And that is permitted now. And it is continuing now. Now again, you see, in the second phase of Bangladesh, when all the actions were going on and the students were revolting against Sheikh Hasina, that was the time when offensive action was required from India. And even a paradrop, I think, at that time of the Dhaka cantonment would have worked wonders. The entire army leadership could have been captured, Bangladeshi leadership been captured, and it would be very difficult for Bangladesh to fight further. And even the students, if they had faced with the Indian army, it would have given up and gone away, and Sheikh Hasina would have been shaved. But ये नहीं किया इंडियन ने, नहीं कुछ नहीं किया. They're just sitting on it. Modi was talking here and there and waiting for America to take action. Now that's another thing. I've read so many videos by Kargil Chaudhary of the Force channel, and I think he makes very interesting videos. I think little slanted in favor of Pakistan, but essential points to लेके आते हैं वो. And one of the essential points he brings out is the concept of warfare of the Indian army doesn't exist. They don't know much about electronic warfare. I don't think maybe they're going into it now. Drone warfare. And now the man-to-man battle may not take place. आपको मैं एग्जाम्पल बताता हूँ. There was recently, I think about 2 years back, a war between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Now, Armenia had gone for the conventional forces. They're the MiG-27, 29, artillery guns, this thing, that thing. While the Azerbaijan army relied only on drone attacks. They had a hell of a lot of Turkish drones, and they used them over the tanks and the soldiers, and there was no defense against them. And when there was no defense, what could the Armenians do except surrender? And they called for a ceasefire, and they agreed that they had been defeated. This is an example of warfare which India should have taken a leaf out of the book. And Sindoor should have been fought that way. And even I don't understand why they did not fight the Kargil war like that similarly. In the contest, I think we lost hundreds of soldiers there, trying to take the Kargil heights back. And the military strategy was wrong in the sense the army chief authorized the withdrawal from the bunkers during winter in the Kargil hills. That was the crux of the issue. So, gentlemen, what's the point, where the Indian army has to show improvement? And look at China. Now, the Chinese soldiers are not acclimatized to the extreme cold, sub-zero temperature of the Himalayan hills. So, the Chinese have brought in robos. They are robo soldiers, and they are going around and firing at the enemy if there is a war. And that is something which is to be commendable. Having robos to fight your next war. So China is also not going to make a physical attack against India. I don't think they're going to do that ever. Because they don't want to derail the economy. The economy is close to 20 trillion now. They don't want to derail it by attacking India. What the hell are going to get out of India? Will be defeated, or maybe they might take. But India cannot be routed. It's so big a country, You may take some areas here and there. That's about all. India, and then nothing going to happen to India. India's got so many other problems which are going to get them down, like the internal dissension and the creation of the linguistic states. That is going to be the death knell of India, not China. China kuch nahi karne wala. Same thing with Pakistan. Pakistan can't afford to break India. No way. And if they try, they probably will be broken themselves. So, gentlemen, ye was talking here. And even now, we had talking about the Chicken's Neck, which is 22 miles, on the border, and at Siliguri, which is a very big town. I've been there. We have wonderful big air base there at Badogra. I've flown, I've landed there so many times. And that chicken's corridor should have been expanded to 100 miles. And India has not done anything about it. In fact, I remember at a press conference, when Modi had gone to America, the American president had clearly told that I have left the problem of Bangladesh to Modi. And what did Modi do? Nothing. He's waiting for America to act. And there's a very interesting observation made by Colonel Chaudhary in his post channel, in which he has said that India does not want to be an equal partner with China. It just wants to be in the shadow of China, as equal partner of America. It just wants to be in the shadow of America. Now, what sort of policy is this? And now, of course, things have gone down the drain. America is not considering India of any great importance. In fact, if you remember, when Donald Trump took over as president, he invited the Chinese president Li Xiaoqi to come for his swearing-in ceremony. He didn't invite Modi. He hasn't met Modi by coming to India, but he's gone and met the Chinese president. It just shows that people realize what is brass tacks. Brass tacks mean they know which side the bread is buttered. That is the important thing. And Donald Trump knows that China is a formidable power, and they got the rare earth minerals. They can stop it and throttle the American industry, and India has got practically nothing because India didn't produce anything themselves. So, gentlemen, the Indian military theories are outdated. And the Indian army is still thinking that they'll be fighting, conventional war, and maybe they might succeed against Nepal or Burma or something, or even Bangladesh, but they're no great forces. But when they are going to meet Pakistan, or they're going to meet China, it will be a different kettle of fish. Let's be very clear about it. It's not going to be that simple. And what plan has India got to say to capture Aksai Chin back? Is there a plan? There is no plan as far as I know. And then why the hell are we showing those maps on the Aksai Chin as a part of India? Because that has got no meaning. And it just means that you are needling the Chinese unnecessarily for nothing. Now, one of the principles of the law is that possession is 9/10 of the law. And Chinese have taken 100% possession of the Aksai Chin, and they are now claiming even Arunachal Pradesh, which should be earlier NEFA, Northeast Frontier Agency. So, gentlemen, India on the back foot. India doesn't say anything. We got a Tibetan government in exile here, and they are told to shut up, jada mat bolo, just keep quiet and continue. Because India is scared of China. And as I've said so many times, this fear is actually the key to your foreign policy. We are banking that America should come and help us. At the same time, we don't know what to do. We like to go with Russia, but Russia, Indians also know, is not a great power that can defend India. India will have to fight its battles by noon. And then, let's accept one fact that no country in the world became a superpower by importing weapons. Now you've got to import everything from aircraft to guns. Well, there's a limit to which you can fight. Because once the things get exhausted, the ammunition gets exhausted, what are you going to do? I think when I was a student in 65 war, my father was a senior officer in the Air Force, told me that India needed ammunition at that site for the Hawk Hunter and the fallen Nat to be used in combat battle with Pakistan. And the British told India, look, we will take 3 months to sign the contract. And the entire war was over in 21 days. So you can well imagine what is the Indian thinking and where India stands as a great power. India is not a great power. That's why nobody gives any credence to India as a great power. They give India some credence because of their size. And the size also is very, very deceptive. You say we got an economy of 4 trillion. What the hell, I say? A population of 1,400 million having a GDP of 4 trillion is a bit of a joke. If you say the per capita income, India goes below 140, 145 out of 190 nations. That means it's one of the poorest countries in the world. My point is that we must see the reality. And why could China be copied? If China could rise to this this position, why not India? This is a question every Indian should ask instead of just shouting, well, Modi is a great man. I would say he's a great man. He's brought stability to the country. But I think he's also the big divider. And there's a very sad occurrence going on, where again the army is totally silent. This is the army type should have intervened in these things, put pressure on the government. A student from Northeast came and was studying engineering in Goa, and he's been lynched to death. What the hell? What fault he had done? India is one country. I might like to go to study in Guwahati. Does it mean somebody lynches me because I am a North Indian? There's a very, very sad occurrence which is going on in the country. And then the attacks on the Christians during Christmas, again something which I am ashamed of. But this, I may be ashamed. The Americans are going to put India on the mat. I hope Narendra Modi realizes this. Because he is the leader of India. He is not the leader of the Hindus. I think this should get into his brain, you know. Is he the leader of the Hindus? Or he's the leader of India? That means he leads the Sikhs. And sadly, in all these places, he can't win a single seat. Punjab, 0. Andhra Pradesh, 0. Tamil Nadu, 0. Northeast, 0. And Kerala, 0. I mean, is it good credit? Nehru used to win everywhere. In terms of popularity, Nehru's ways and means are miles ahead of Modi. Again, I'm digressing. I was talking of the Indian Army. You know, the Indian Army has to change its strategy. It's got to be more proactive, make plans. For example, in next war with China, how is the Indian Army going to attack? Will they follow General Young husband and go and capture Lasha? It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a tough battle, but you're going to have the plan. Has India a plan to break Pakistan? Baluchis are fighting, and India going to support them? Because they are supporting them, but it's not the way the support which the Baluch are expecting. Strong support. And there's no contagious border between India and Baluchistan. That's another problem. So India has to have a proactive policy, and they are not to bungle up things, Raw, if they are assassinating Saddam Raw, it's got to be absolutely foolproof. But now in one of the murders, the Canadians even got the name of the official in Raw who had ordered the killing of Niger. Well, enemies of India deserve nothing better. But gentlemen, let's be very clear that Indian army and military strategy needs a revamp. And they don't have to be scared of the political leadership. The political leadership led India to do. Let's see what happens in the future, gentlemen. If you like my video, please share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel, comment, and I will say goodbye. Take care. God bless.